Scaling your law firm doesn't have to be difficult. It's all about mastering a few key strategies, systems, and mindsets. Welcome to the Scalable Law Podcast, where we talk about how you can increase profit in your pocket and time in your calendar. My name is Carolee Fontanelli, and I have successfully scaled my firm so that it doesn't solely rely on me. Now I love teaching other law firm owners how to do the same. Let's transform your business starting now. Welcome to another episode of the Scalable Law Podcast. I'm your host, Carolee Fontanelli, and it is so great to be tuning in with you today from the sunny Gold Coast in Australia. It is winter here and it's quite cool, but it is beautiful outside and we've just been having the most amazing mornings. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I spend quite a bit of my time out in the mornings walking and going to the beach and things like that. And it has just been such an awesome way to start the day. But I must say that it is a little bit more of a commitment when it's 5:30 a.m. and it is pitch black and dark and cold. But once I get out there, I never, ever regret it. And I know that they say, exercise is great for your body and all that kind of thing, but it's definitely amazing for my mind and my mindset and how I start the day. So I encourage you guys, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling like it's all a bit too much, getting out there and walking really can put you in the right frame of mind, even if it's just for 30 minutes. It's definitely something that I think has improved my life and made me less stressed. So encourage you to go do that. Now, today on the podcast, we're not talking about that. We are talking about how to create an incredible customer experience in your law firm and really up level that experience, and really giving you here some strategies for success. So as you know, it's very competitive in the legal landscape. There will be someone else in your sphere, most probably doing exactly what you're doing, possibly even more than that. And it doesn't take too much to tick a law firm client off, and for them to go somewhere else. So it's really important that we do aim not only at attracting the right clients, but also retaining them. There is nothing worse than attracting the right client, putting all that work in, and then once they come to your law firm, they're disappointed in the service that they receive. Now, this could be because you are a solo practitioner and you are way overworked and doing way too much, or it could be because you've got a team that hasn't been systemized or trained yet on how to give this incredible customer service and customer experience so that clients stay to the end of their matter. Now, I know as lawyers and as law firm owners, sometimes we forget and our team forget that we're not just delivering a legal service. It's not just a legal service. We're actually serving our clients, and we are there to make them feel valued, as well as giving them the right legal advice so that they can move on in the right direction in their lives. So how do we deliver a seamless and personalized experience that's efficient and enhances our clients' experience so that they build trust and loyalty with our law firm? What we're going to be talking about today is exactly that, because this is going to help you in your law firm with long-term growth. Now, for me, I have definitely been on a journey of learning about customer experience and learning about service, because as I've grown a team, often your team, they're really gung-ho and focused on giving the best legal advice, but not necessarily understanding or taking that time to give a really great service. And what I have experienced is that it's really small things like returning calls promptly and making sure when the client is, agreed to come on board, that they're onboarded with some, smooth efficiencies and that they are feeling valued. It's all of those sorts of things that make the big difference I've had clients be onboarded and then something goes wrong with their onboarding. You haven't even started giving the legal advice yet. And they have moved on to another firm because they haven't felt like the service is great or that they've been valued. So it's really, really important. And I think when it comes to customer service, put yourself in their shoes, be a customer. I was recently a customer when I renovated my house about 2 years ago. And it's a big deal, renovating a house, spending a lot of money. It was a complete rip out where they took all the walls out and we basically started again. And it was so much money and it was so stressful, so stressful. And it really made me realize or really think about what it's like to be a customer and what it's like to feel uncertain and what it's like to feel stressed and what it's like to be spending all this money. And the little things that made the difference, communication and, making sure I was a top priority by them answering the phone for me and things like that. And as a law firm owner, one of the things and the massive benefits, not only about growing your firm, of course, that is going to be an incredible benefit. But one of the things that having an amazing customer service and customer journey in your firm does is it reduces complaints by a lot. And, receiving complaints by clients, putting out fires all the time, it's not fun for anybody. So if you can reduce that as much as possible, and unfortunately in a law firm, the larger you grow, the more people you deal with, the more complaints you're going to have. There's going to be a percentage of people that are always going to complain. But if we can reduce it down to literally just those minimal people that are always going to complain regardless, then you're going to have a much easier time as a law firm owner. So how do we ensure the long-term success and growth of your law firm by up-leveling your customer experience? Well, the first thing I think we have to do, and number one on my list here, is to really understand your client and sit in your client's shoes. To really enhance their experience, it's essential to really understand your client's needs, goals, and expectations. And I think often as lawyers and law firm owners, we don't do that necessarily, but we're always the one talking and we're always the one giving the advice rather than listening to what their actual goals are. We really need to spend time in gathering information about the client and what their actual pain points are. And when we know what their pain points are, we are going to know where they're coming from and really what is important to them. At the end of the day, what they want is that pain to be gone. So we need to understand what that pain point is and what that is important to them. Because as lawyers, what might be important to us, all the technical stuff, is not necessarily important to them. So what are those pain points? What's important to them? What are their goals and expectations? And if we can really understand our client and listen to them, we are going to be able to deliver a much better customer service and journey for them. Number two is to implement effective communication channels. And the other thing too that I'd like to mention here is that not all clients like to be communicated to in the same way. Some people love to receive texts or emails. Some people just want to jump on a video conference. Others want that phone call, old school or real old school. They might actually want to come and sit in front of you and eyeball you to get their advice. So how does your client actually want to communicate with you? And can you ask the question at the beginning when you retain your client, how would you like me to communicate with you? What is best for you? I think the other thing too with having effective communication channels that actually suit your client, it's promptly responding and providing regular updates on their case progress. This is so important throughout the legal process. So many times I have dealt with complaints in my law firm, and it's all because of communication and usually lack of communication. I usually don't get a complaint that I've been communicated to too much. I get a complaint because the phone call wasn't returned promptly enough for them. And you've got to remember, depending on what area of law you are in, this is a really, really stressful time for people. So I'm coming from a perspective where we are a family law practice. So, there is a lot of stress. There's a lot of strain. The clients are highly strung often. So it is important that we return calls straight away, because what's going on in their life right now is the most important thing to them. To us, we don't think it's that important, because usually what they want to ring about or talk about doesn't really have any relevance to their matter. We know that as lawyers, but we still need to be picking up the phone, communicating, listening to them, and responding in a really efficient way. So how can you up your communication in your law firm to create that incredible journey for your client? So number 3 is that it's an awesome idea, if you want to up-level your customer service, to personalize your customer or client journey as much as you can. So think about you being a client somewhere, and when it's been a personalized experience for you, you feel important, don't you? So I know as a client, I really appreciate that personalized experience. It makes you feel like you're a valued client. So you can implement a relationship management system. You can implement client portals as well. That's a really great thing to personalize your client's matter. And you can tailor, obviously, the advice and provide really proactive solutions. Of course, making sure you address your clients by their names, know their family members' names. It will really make them feel valued and build trust. I know in family law, when we have to deal with, kids and all that sort of thing, we never get to meet any of these people, but their children are the most important thing to them. So if we spell their children's names wrong, that can just absolutely shatter the relationship. So it's really small things like that on how to personalize the client's journey with you. Step number 4 in creating an amazing customer or client journey. I cannot rave on about this step enough. In fact, I have completely, done a whole lot of systems and processes around this for my firm, because it is so important, especially for us lawyers. And that is to streamline processes and simplify legal language. Now, all areas of law can be really complicated, especially if you are not a lawyer and you're not trained as a lawyer. And no one likes legal jargon. It is overwhelming, it hinders clients' understanding, and they don't like feeling bamboozled or like they lack understanding. And all we need to do is just really simplify it when we're communicating with our clients. They don't need to know necessarily all the ins and outs. They really are focusing on their pain point and us resolving that for them. When is this problem going to be solved for them? They don't particularly care about the how. So we don't need to go on with legal jargon and processes. We just need to really keep it simple for them, eliminate anything that's confusing, and just, communicate with them really clearly and explaining the legal steps. The other thing, of course, which you are all aware of, I'm sure, if you've been practicing for any length of time, and that is to set realistic expectations. I have had to handle some doozy complaints from in my firm if the client expectations have been set up really poorly in the beginning. Of course, it's really hard to get a mindset shift when you've had a professional, a lawyer, set up the expectations and they're quite unrealistic. So educate your clients about the legal processes. Set up some, charts for them, flow charts, write on a whiteboard. Tell them about what the potential outcomes are and the risks that are involved. But we don't need to go all in on all the legal jargon, because it's really hard for clients to understand. And all they really want is their problem solved, and they want some clarity. They want to be able to understand the process. And sometimes that means making things a little more simple. So next up for communication and giving a really great customer service is adopting and optimizing technology and automation. It's really important that we as lawyers improve the customer experience or client experience by investing in robust case management systems that automate routine tasks, streamline workflows, enable self-service options potentially for your clients, such as an online portal and payments, things like that. Just make it super simple. We need to offer as well online document sharing and e-signatures. That just makes things really, really simple. People don't have printers. It can be really hard for them to make those efforts and changes. So it's important to up-level your tech so that you can automate as much as possible. There are so many amazing tools out there, and they're not necessarily tools built for law firms. They can be tools built for standard service-based businesses. And sometimes I feel that lawyers are not embracing some of these tools as much as they could be. So get out there, work out what tech you need, work out what you can automate in your firm, whether it's things from client portals to e-signatures to calendar, scheduling, whatever it might be, and make your life and their life much easier. And this will also really streamline and make their journey in your firm a lot simpler and smoother, giving them a much better experience. So number 6 is really important, and this is all about culture in your firm and how you are training your team. And it's about fostering a client-centric culture. Your clients are the reason you are there. Your clients are the reason that your firm exists. Without clients, you don't have oxygen in your business. And I think sometimes we can forget that when we're really busy and life is hectic. So creating a client-centric culture within your law firm is really vital for delivering an exceptional client experience. You need to, as the leader of your firm, emphasize the importance of client satisfaction to all of your team members and encourage a client-focused mindset. I've done this in my firm, and honestly, it's made such a huge difference to I'm not putting out fires all the time. I'm not dealing with complaints all the time. And it comes down to having this focus and having these conversations on a regular basis and talking about really simple things like making sure that phone calls are returned in a timely fashion. Training your staff on effective communication and active listening and empathy is also really important. Not everyone is good at communicating, and lots of lawyers are certainly not great at listening because we are usually the ones giving the advice and we know the answer, but sometimes people need to talk and we need to listen. So fostering that in your firm is a really great way of helping clients to feel valued and heard, because ultimately these are people and they have feelings around their problems, big feelings usually, and these are often very big legal problems that we're dealing with. And I think, as lawyers, we can forget that because we're dealing with so much of it all the time. The other thing too in the firm is to really foster a collaborative environment that encourages your team members to share knowledge and ensure that all of your firm members are aligned to providing this outstanding service. So if it becomes a focus of your firm, it really does make a big difference. Now, the last but not least, we are talking number 7, which is to regularly seek and act on client feedback. So client feedback is really invaluable for improving your firm's services. It can be hard to get client feedback where you do have to go out and ask for that feedback through surveys, interviews, or feedback forms. This will help you to gain insight into your firm. You can also ask for reviews, which is excellent because if you can get reviews on Google, it makes you stand out a whole lot more on the web. So that's a really awesome thing to be doing as well. If you're actively addressing concerns in your firm, it means that you are actually committed to their satisfaction and improving things. When a client leaves a negative review or complains, sometimes it's really important to think of it like this, that you have to be thankful for that complaint because it raises issues that you might not have been aware of. So I recently, in recent times, not too recently, it was last year or the year before, had an employee who was not a great employee, and I didn't know that. Very experienced lawyer, but I kept getting complaints, and ultimately those complaints pointed me into a direction of all these sorts of things that she was doing that wasn't very good in the firm, and she had to be let go. So having those, I'm grateful for the clients that complained because that I was able to fix the problem. Otherwise, I would never have known, and it could have gone on for months and months, and people just drop off and you don't understand why. So be grateful and thankful that people will give you their feedback and they will complain because it gives you the opportunity to actually investigate and find out what is wrong in the firm and how you can raise the bar for the customer experience and make the whole thing a whole lot better. So regularly seeking feedback and then acting on that is really important. So those are my 7 tips for you. I'll quickly run through them. Understanding your client. So remember, this is all about what are their goals, expectations, what are their pain points. Implementing effective communication channels. So how does your client want to be communicated to, and how quickly and promptly are we returning calls and things like that. Number 3 is personalizing your client's journey. So making it personal for them, really small things, but makes the client feel really valued. Number 4 is streamlining processes and simplifying the legal language. So making sure it's really simple and easy for your clients, that you're easy to work with and they feel like they have clarity. Number 5 is optimizing your technology and automation. So this is about being efficient and really improving your client experience through tech. Number 6 is fostering and creating a client-centered culture in your law firm so that all of your team are on the same page when it comes to taking care of the clients and giving them that up-leveled, amazing experience. And number 7 is regularly seeking client feedback and not being offended when clients complain, actually taking it as a learning opportunity. So that is all I have for you today. I hope that you've really enjoyed this podcast about leveling the client experience in your law firm. It really does require a combination of understanding your clients, having effective communication, having that culture, and really like optimizing technology so that you've got those efficiencies. And by implementing these 7 strategies, your law firm can really stand out from the competition, and it can build stronger client relationships, which is so, so important, because then clients will keep referring you work and you will never, ever have to worry about where your next client is coming from. You'll also never have to deal with complaints, which is such a relief when you stop getting complaints, because you know your team is delivering an exceptional client experience. So if you would love to learn more about this type of thing, this is what we do in Scalable Law. We help law firms to scale their firms by getting more marketing through the door and not having to worry about their cash flow and how they're going to, keep going. So that's for law firm owners that are more startup to up to $1 million turnover. And then we have another program for law firm owners who have a firm of more than, say, 5 or 6 staff or $1 million turnover. And this is really around systemizing their firm so that as a law firm owner, they are not needing to work in the firm, they can work on the firm. So really giving them a lot more profit and freedom. So if that sounds like something you would love to be involved with, we would love to have you as a client of Scalable Law. So just hop on over to scalablelaw.com. It's just .com actually. It's not .com.au. .com, scalablelaw.com. You'll find me over there. You'll also find me on Instagram and LinkedIn at carolee.fontanelli. It's been awesome tuning in today. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and I will look forward to another podcast with you next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Scalable Law podcast, brought to you by the Scalable Business Lounge. If you would love to know how you can get more clients without relying on referrals, head over to scalablelaw.com to watch my free masterclass. Until next time, you have got this.